Look at that. Notice my mic was friggin' on mute again. Anyways, you guys should be able to hear me now. So, like I was saying, welcome, welcome. So tonight we are going to be talking about. We'll take a little bit deeper dive into kind of 3D printing and kind of what I've been up to this past week. Because yeah, kind of a lot's gone on for me for 3D printing. And then we'll take a little bit deeper dive into settings. Over on PGB, there have been, yeah, I gotcha. Over on PGB, there were a couple questions on like settings and all that type of stuff. Let's see. So hey, Sprink, I think I fixed it. Also, did you by chance get your trigger yet? Cool, all good now, perfect. If not, it'll be there today or tomorrow. I don't know. I'd have to see the tracking stuff. So, cool. So let's see. Where were we? Yeah, so definitely. What I'm going to be doing, I think, is I'm just going to kind of be updating the forum first before I kind of post anywhere else. Kind of going forward, so that way you guys all get the content and stuff first. Answer any questions that may or may not be over there, and then I'll kind of venture off over to like PGB, starting to become a little more active over there as well. But if you want to see this content first, or kind of like my settings, pictures, ask questions, get some one-on-one time maybe, head over to the forum, 2aallday.com, sign up for free over there. You could also, if you feel so inclined, you can join VIP. Next week we are going to, I think for VIP, we're going to give away a set of Rook rails. So we'll give away a set of Rook rails to the VIPs. I'm going to post that a little bit later tonight once the kids kind of go down. So look for that either later tonight. I'm Pacific time, so for me it's kind of early, but nonetheless, look for that a little later. That'll be in the VIP section. They'll just be like a little post, and you can just type it in for one over there, and then we'll spin that wheel next week for a set of the Rook rear excuse me, Rook rear rails. That's a tongue twister. For the compact frames. So yeah, head on over there. All VIPs, free entry. I haven't done anything for VIPs specifically since we gave away the Gledhill Customs. So I definitely want to make sure you guys are kind of getting your money's worth over there. Yeah, so over there we'll do in for one. And that's VIP. Let's see what else. So right now, oh, Friday it said. Okay, cool. Right on. Well, that's good. So right now, this is kind of what I got going on. I'm printing out the Mac Daddy, or no, not the Mac Daddy, the Mac and Cheese. I'm disassembling the Mac Daddy to go actually into that frame that is printing right there. There we go. So, and that led me to kind of what's been going on this past week. So, I've printed out this mac and cheese probably 50 times. Honestly, probably like 7 or 8 times. But what kind of happened first was, let's go back to this view here so it's a little bit bigger. Essentially, this is what I print rails down, so this is kind of what it looks like down. It takes the Glock magazine, so it'd be like this normally. Your grip would be here coming off, so you'd hold it like this. And then it takes the Glock magazines and the Mac 11 upper, or the Mac 9 upper. So, printed like this. I didn't notice, can you see anything that looks off? So, if I would have looked closely at first, you'll see right here. Oh, that was good. Boom, see that little nub? Like right down here? It's called a layer shift. Right there. Layer shift. So, coming back here, it also caused a layer shift in the back. You can see it right there. And now what that does is it's so low right there for that layer shift. The only thing that it might mess up, which I could file down, is right inside here where the feed ramp goes. So right in here is where the feed ramp goes, and it just layer shifted one layer in like that. So I could have easily filed that out and used this frame. However, there's also another layer shift, if you could see. So right here where the magazine would kind of go in, it shifted out just a smidge. And so I could also sand down the inner wall right here, and then also sand down over here. But then I would have this funky looking frame, and I'm not about that. I'm about the first time quality lifestyle. So I decided, you know what? Let's reprint it. Maybe there was something wrong with the printer. Who knows? A lot of things could happen. So reprinted it. While I was reprinting it, I noticed some other things. So we're going to set this one to the side. So I reprinted it again. And I am rails down, so that would put it... By the way, these look freaking like gloss. Look at that. You can barely see any layer in there. That is beautiful. So I know that's tuned fine. Okay, so it prints down like this. So here was the start of my next print after that. So if you can see... Let's see, we'll go to the back. Boom, you can see first layer again. So I was like, huh, okay. At least I caught it. I didn't waste all my filament. So then I printed another one. Ah, I dropped it. So then printed another one. And this time, let's see, how did that one come out? Okay, yeah, so I did it again. So I caught it again. This time I knew. I was starting to time this thing. So I don't know if you can see, but back here, there's also like a little layer shift there. I was like, okay, hey, it's messing up on the same layer every time. So what's going on? Is the nozzle catching on something? You know, so I'd come out here. I knew it like an hour and 30 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes. Hey, go check your print because it could have layer shifted. So nonetheless, it came out here. So I caught that one. Then I printed another one. So I took that off and I was like, okay, hey, you know what? I was also trying to dial in like my flow a little bit. So the flow rate on here, I was trying to dial in a little bit. Yeah. Oh, wait, it gets better. Hey, this is just the start of the story. So grab some popcorn, a beer, something. This is just the start. So then, started a new one. Like I said, I was adjusting kind of with my flow and my Z offset, just to see if it was kind of catching on a layer or something like that. So then I printed this one. So this one actually kind of came out, and I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. Boom, there we go. But look at that. So now it shifted the other way. So this is the other side of the frame. If you remember, here it has shifted out on the other ones, and now that layer has shifted in. So I was like, huh. It shifted this way on the first 4 times, and now it's shifting that way. What's going on? And here, it moved. So you can see, just for comparison, so one of the first ones was this one here. Look, it was just that very bottom layer. So it was the very first layer, and now it moved. So it moved up by about 10 or 15 layers. Boom, you can see it right there, 10 or 15 layers. So it's like, huh, this is kind of weird. So this time, I now went back into my slicer. I resliced it with different settings. And I was like, hey, okay, so what's kind of going on? Let's see if we can just adjust the setting. Maybe it was the one slice that I did. So I figured fresh slice. Let's fresh slice it. So fast forward. I won't keep you too long. Fast forward. Boom, did it 2 more times. Both times offered something different. So this one here, the smaller one, went back to how it was slicing. I don't know, let's see. You can kind of see that layer poking out. Okay. So I said, okay, you know what? Clean the bed. Let's do this over one more time. Now that I resliced it with different slicer settings, let's now play with the flow and the Z offset out here. So then, got this one here. So now, instead of it being off on the very bottom one, it shifted about 15 or 20 layers up on that one, out in the normal, usual direction. So, what happened next? So next, okay, so I did it one more time after that. And this one, it was kind of weird. I didn't catch it in time, but you can kind of see, same thing, about 15 layers up, the whole thing shifts over, and it doesn't shift back. boom, right there. So that was this one. So all in all, at this up until this point, and this is all over maybe 3 days, 3 days, I printed, or I tried to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 partials and a complete 7. So that's 7. So we're up to 7 right now. And mind you, this took about 19 hours to start, by the way. So 19 hours here, and then each one of these were at least an hour. So, you know, it's a lot of time right there for the printer. So then I said, you know what? This is starting to really be familiar, and I had experienced something similar to this when I had my Ender. So before I got my Prusa, I was printing on an Ender, and I remember the first time I started experiencing layer shift, I was like, what the heck is going on? And then I was like, oh, that's right. I changed out the nozzle on the Ender, and then it got better. So here I was still printing on the very first nozzle that ever came with this Prusa. So I knew it was a matter of time before I was going to have to change it, and it's a brass nozzle, so they wear fairly fast. So I knew it was a matter of time before I was going to have to change it. And so in the meantime, E3D released their new hot end, the Revo. The Revo 6 is the one that matches the Prusa that I have. And so I was like, oh man, I can either A, replace the nozzle and keep the V6 setup that I have here, and then also potentially be able to get a hardened steel nozzle or a ruby or whatever they have, and print harder materials. Or I have this Revo that just got here, and well, I've had it for a while. I've been waiting for my nozzle to wear out. But nonetheless, my printer is in an enclosure that is very hard to kind of work around, and it's in a weird spot. It's kind of hard to explain. I posted a picture of my setup on the forum, so if you want to see what that looks like, you can go over there and take a look. So I was like, okay, man, this is going to take days. It's like, but you know what? Once I get this Revo installed, it is going to be fantastic. It's going to be a cold change out, finger nozzle change out like this. I don't have to get in there with tools. I don't have to worry about, heating up the heater block in the nozzle and then getting, and not tweaking and messing up the heater block or breaking the seal from the PTFE tube that's in there. None of that. With this the Revo, it's a simple, 10-second turn, boom, drop it out cold, boom, pop in the new one, twist it up hand tight, and boom, you're ready to go. You don't even have to readjust your Z height with that, regardless of if you're going, 0.4 size nozzle, 0.6, 8, whatever size you're going with. They're all the exact same size. So you technically shouldn't, and the reviews that I've seen, people haven't had to readjust their Z height swapping out nozzles. So the downside is there's no hard nozzles with Revo out yet. They are making them. They will be out hopefully soon, but they're not here yet. So now I was like, okay, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. So I took apart my whole enclosure, took the top off. I have special lighting that's hooked up in there that's hardwired down through the bottom. So I had to undo that. And the printer was now accessible. So then it took me maybe an hour and a half to get the old hot end off, the new Revo on, the new Revo wired in. And then I was like, you know what? While it's here, while it's open, I might as well do a maintenance on it. So I rubbed the whole thing down with alcohol. I got all the old lube off. I cleaned all the linear rails, re-lubed those up. I cleaned the guide rods or whatever, the lead screws. So cleaned those off, re-lubed those up, tightened up the belt for the X-axis, tightened up all the screws. So I haven't actually gone through and re-tightened everything up since I built it. And it's got a couple 100 hours on it, I think. So went back, tightened everything up, and then put it all back together. PID tuned it, so that way the temperature was good to go. And then I was like, all right, now it's magic time, right? Now is the moment. Here, by the way, so you don't just have to look at me. Whoops, we'll do this. I should have been doing this the whole time, but I was trying to show you stuff. So I was like, now's the time. I can't wait. And so I put on my printer. I don't know why I just switched screens. We're going to switch back for a second. So I sliced it, or I resliced it, put on my printer, and that's where this one comes into play. So just so you know, it's not the same one. This was the first one. This is now the second one. And mind you, this was 19 hours. This should be 19 hours, but I don't know if you noticed something. Something happened. So I came out here and I checked it. at about the typical hour mark, hour and a half, 2 hours. I was checking like every 10 minutes after an hour, essentially, seeing if it was going to layer shift. So as you can see, beautiful, beautiful. Look at that. No, no layer shift, none whatsoever. And again, I was trying to tune in the settings, but there we go. You can kind of see, trying to get the layers all looking good. Anyways, last night, so I started this at night. It was going to print overnight and it was going to be ready for me today. So last night, I guess my router turned off and back on. It reset itself for some reason. Maybe it updated, I don't know, but it reset itself. And now you may be thinking, well, your router reset itself for your internet. How does that affect your print? Or why would that have ruined your print? Well, I run a Raspberry Pi with Octoprint uploaded on it, and it's connected straight into the printer. So that's how that's how you're seeing this right here. So I can just log on to the internet whenever I want. I can watch it print. I can also upload files straight from my computer into Octoprint and print straight from there to print. So I don't have to put my STLs onto a USB drive or a micro USB. I don't have to connect this laptop to the printer. I can be in my living room and start a print as long as my printer's on. So the Raspberry Pi, being online, is connected to my router. And when my router reset itself, it messed up my my print, and I was almost done with the print. There was no errors. It was looking beautiful, and so that's where it kind of stopped right at the trigger guard. And I don't know if you can kind of see, but it starts looking like crap right up there, because when the error happened, I think the hot end just rested right there and it just kind of melted everything. And so that was last night at like, I don't know, probably like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, the router reset itself. And I remember seeing on my phone, I got this weird message saying like, oh, your Ring home alarm system is offline, and oh, it reconnected just like that. And so I was like, that's strange. And then I just went to bed. Well, I got up this morning, went out here to check the print, and it said, what did it say? It said like failure detected, or error detected, crash detected. It said crash detected. Would you like to resume? And I was like, what the heck? It was a crash. So resumed, heated back up, it started printing again, and I started watching it just for the first like layer or two. And as the nozzle was going over this section, as it was going back over the trigger guard section to then fill in all of this, every time it would come over here, it would skip and it would drag across that and make a not so pleasant sound. And so I tried to get my cutters really quick to trim that down as it was printing to try to salvage this. Because by now I'm pulling my hair out. I'm like, why can't this file just print? So nonetheless, it's doing its thing. Then I noticed this. I was so heated. Oh man, I was so mad. Then I noticed, and I don't know if you can see it, but where is it? The very top layer shifted. The very top layer shifted. And then I was like, man, so now I could either let it finish out the magwell here, and I could, again, file this down and file that down, and it'd be fine. It'd be working just fine. The internals are fine. Or I could not waste any more filament and reprint. So that's what I did. Again, I could have filed this one down, the original one, but I didn't want to do that. I want something that's first time quality, and that's perfect. It's over there. So that's what we're watching right now, is this printing here. Hey, thanks for the compliment. Nice looking. If I could just get to finish printing. So also really quick, how are we doing on time? Okay, we got a little bit of time. I think Racer over PGB, you were someone, I'm pretty sure it was you, you were asking how easy it is to remove supports. So I just wanted to show you a little bit here. That's what I figured I could use this for, was to just kind of show you a little bit, like boom, all the supports are still in there. They're all still everywhere. So I'm gonna grab two of my trusty tools just in case I need them. I normally don't need them a lot. They just help. And after you do it so many times, your fingers start to kind of hurt a little bit. at least with the settings that I'm using. I could probably tune them in a little bit better, but if it's not broke right now, I'm not trying to fix it. Let me grab my screwdriver and just a plier really quick, and we'll get this, some of these supports off so you can kind of see. Okay, so two of my favorite tools to kind of get through this are these small little pliers. These came in one of the kits that I think MGB recommended for the P80s. It was like a 4 or 5 piece little kit. So these are mini ones, just little mini needle nose. Any type of needle nose will work, but these help you get, these will help you kind of get into small, tight spaces and grab whatever you need to grab. Secondly, flathead screwdriver. So this one has been kind of chipped. Nothing special about it. It is pretty thin, so if you want to see it. But I find that where it's chipped, it actually creates kind of like a blade, and I kind of cut it out a little bit. So, hey, Pat, Michelle, how you doing? Good to have you guys here. Yeah, time is flying. But you're tuning in at a good time. You can go back and see the funness that has been of trying to print out the mac and cheese and all of the failed prints that have happened. So feel free to go back and watch that if you want to laugh a little bit. So we're just kind of talking about removing supports and that kind of stuff. I was going to kind of dive into some settings. I have Prusa open that we can kind of look at, but I think I want to show it live before we kind of dive into settings. Maybe we'll dive into settings next week because we're already pushing 30 minutes and I don't want it to be too long. But let's see. So I'll try to do this so you guys can kind of see. So normally the first thing that I like to do is just kind of take out the trigger support, and you can literally just push it with your thumb and it just breaks. So it just comes right out. Boom, that was the support. And then if you want to see the inside, so that's kind of what it looks like there. And then I stopped it here because it was failing, so that's why it looks like crap there. It would normally look like this. So I don't know if you can kind of see if we can get the light to reflect on it. So you can kind of barely see the layers, and then the same thing for the, oh, there we go, boom. That's what it'll kind of look like, at least with my settings. So now that we got that out of the way, that is going to help loosen up this big support. Whoops. The trigger support here is going to help loosen up this support here. As you can see, it kind of goes through that little hole. So that's the bottom of it. So this will probably be the hardest support to remove out of here. And kind of what I like to do with that is I like to just take my flathead here and I just put it in this edge. So one of my settings that I adjust is the XY offset, and that creates this little gap right here to where I won't mar the frame up and I can focus on just the supports here. So I'll put this in right there, and then I'll just kind of crack it a little bit. It just kind of loosens it up just from the inside, whatever it's on. And so I just kind of crack it just a smidge, and you can feel it. And so it's all support stuff. And then if you want, you can kind of poke it and try to pull it out with your screwdriver, or your fingers will work just fine. Like I said, my fingers hurt because I've done this so many times. You can just take your pliers, boom, grip them. Well, look at that. The whole thing pretty much came out. And that's this piece right here. So just by loosening up just a little bit, I was able to grab this whole thing and pull it out. And what I really like about it is, too bad we can't see. Let's see if we can. Man, I need a light like right here. But nonetheless, the inside, so a lot of times it looks all kind of funky and messed up on the inside, especially when people are rails down gang like myself. Doing it this way with my settings makes it to where it's not so funky looking and so messed up. Man, I wonder if we can do this. So you can kind of see in there just a little bit. There's one more layer down there that I do need to get off. And so that is really easy to do. I just simply take my flathead, that's what the flathead here is for, and I'll just kind of try to catch an edge in there and just run it along it, and then it'll get it right out. So I'm just going in there, and I'm just kind of scraping it around back and forth, and it'll get that one layer of support that's still in there. And then, like I said, you could either use your finger for this, or these needle nose are perfect because that's just the one little layer that is stuck that's still inside there. And so I'll just kind of go through, get that one out. Another thing that's also pretty easy to get off would be like this support here. So you can literally just take your finger and it breaks off, and boom, you pull it off. So the supports really are not hard to get off at all, especially if you adjust the settings and you make them good. And again, like the inside comes out really, really nice. So, you know, again, same with the front. As you can kind of see here, sorry, this is kind of difficult to do with a webcam. But yeah, you just pop it in, break it a little bit, pop it in, kick it out, pop it in, kick it out, and boom, the whole thing just comes out. Just like that. And again, this one might be easier to see a little bit. There is that one layer that's right down there. So you can kind of see that's the best thing to, probably the best angle is that there's that one layer that is super easy. Boom. Look at that. One swipe and it comes off. It's not like it's glued on there or nothing. Sometimes it breaks apart funky, but it still all comes out. And so now it's all out. And we are looking almost like glass in there. Almost like the outside. Like you wouldn't be able to tell for here. You wouldn't be able to tell that there was even a support there. Are my settings on Prusa the same on Cura? So I don't. So there are different names between them. I'll have to look and find out. A lot of times I'll just like kind of Google. I don't know what the hell's going on. A lot of times I'll just try to Google like the setting that I'm trying to achieve. So I'll say like Cura XY offset, and then it'll kind of come up with the actual name that Cura uses. I haven't used Cura since I stopped using my old Ender. I know all the settings that are, or I'm pretty sure all the settings that are available in Prusa are also available in Cura. They're just named something different. So it's trying to just track down, you know, what it is. I forgot what setting it was that we were talking about on PGB that you said you didn't have that I did have, or that Prusa had that Cura doesn't have. But I would just have to Google it and find it. So yeah, and again, I think the setting that helped me get these off the most is the XY offset. So my XY offset is set pretty high for that. So so yeah, so now I got the mac and cheese reprinting again. As you guys can see, it actually looks pretty darn good. Again, you can see there's no layer shifts or nothing right there. At least not yet, knock on wood. And yeah, just printing away. I think I have, man, I'm not sure how much time I have left. Let's see. So this is what Octoprint looks like for people that haven't used Octoprint. It tells you like your temperature, so you can monitor your temperature for your hot end and also your temperature for your bed here. And you can see this is very helpful because it shows you if there's any fluctuations, and if there's a ton of like really big fluctuations, you can you'll need to PID tune your stuff to dial in your hot end more. But nonetheless, it says that there are about 16 hours left, so about 17 hours left. You can see I've been printing this for about 8 hours, so that's what it looks like with 8 hours printing. And yeah, so you can do a lot of cool things with Octoprint. Definitely recommend it. I can do a video on Octoprint and how to set it up if you guys want to see that. And I also have this connected directly to my slicer. So when I go to Prusa, I can print directly from Prusa Slicer into Octoprint. So so here's Prusa for people that don't use Prusa or whatever. It's a slicer, so very similar to Cura. It's just kind of laid out different. Things are named a little different. But really quick, I did want to show you And so also, so with these, like I said, I'm going to be making a video of this, like a time lapse, and it'll show all the settings that I use to slice this. So I'm using kind of my own mix between some of Chairman Juan's settings that he uses for some of his pistols, and then also kind of remix it with some of Hoffman Tactical's settings to kind of get it to how I like it here. And so like XY would be, where is it? So support material. So like my XY right here is 1.4, which is huge. That's quite a bit of a distance. And so what's also cool about Prusa, which I think is the same for Cura, is if you're not sure what a setting is or what it does, it will give you like this little blurb on kind of what it does, how it's calculated, like what it's used for. And then furthermore, if for some reason that's not enough, you could always click on it. And let me see if I can get this to show up now. You could always click on it, and then it brings up this page here. So it brings you right to their website, and it'll actually give you like a more in detail. So this is for specifically for like the support material stuff and what those settings do. And so like I kind of went through here and kind of read this just a little bit. Here, watch, I'll show you one. So so like the top Z contact distance, so that's a setting that you can adjust in your slicer. And essentially what that does is that's the vertical distance between the object and the support material. So when you're printing something, you have your support material, and then right on top of that, there's normally a little bit of a gap. And so you can increase that gap so the support doesn't get glued to your okay, cool. You have the tutor app, yeah. So that way the support doesn't get glued to your actual print. So here's like a good example of like a visual that they'll also give you. So like for example, you could do supports everywhere, which is this line on the left. Supports everywhere will actually put supports on your object if they are needed for the overhang. Versus supports on the build plate only is the line on the right. And that is where the supports are only generated touching the build plate, and then they go straight up to touch whatever overhang needs supporting. Cura does have a cool feature, their tree supports, and their tree supports like would start over to the very far right, and it would actually kind of grow around it like a tree and tree branches. So that's really cool. I wish Prusa had that. Here's the setting that I adjusted that I love. And I think this setting was from Chairman, was the XY separation. And so this is kind of a close-up of what it actually does. So like you can see the 150% screen on the left. It's going to take what does it say? Is expressed as a percentage, will be calculated over the external perimeter width. So it takes the width of your perimeter and it times that by 150%, and that's the gap that's there. So if you wanted to do it as a percentage, you could say that. Or like to the right is 300, which is even more of a gap. So that increases that. So nonetheless, that is kind of how I kind of dove in a little bit and tried to learn a little bit about settings. And then I just really tried to experiment with them. And then I tried to look at I could probably try to slice this, but it might crash. You know what? Screw it. Let's try it. Let's close Octoprint so that way we have some RAM. And so just for giggles, let's do this. All right, so that's what it looks like. So we're going to do 100% infill, and we are cool. So this is pretty much the same settings of the print that I have right now. So we're going to slice that up, and it's probably going to take a minute because I have the streamer running right now, and I'm only on a laptop that's from Costco. So give this a second, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like. Kind of show you the size of gap that I have on here as well. Yeah, if it crashes, then have a good night. But if not, hopefully this is kind of getting through here. So let's see, it's almost done, 85%. This is like the hardest part of 3D printing, is waiting for the dang thing to slice. And so I guess while we're doing this, I wonder, can I capture cursor? Cool. Let's do that. Can you guys see my cursor on here? I'm just curious. Because I want to be able to show you. Anyways, okay, 85%. It might take a minute because that was a lot. So nonetheless, down here on the bottom, you can see where it says export G code on the bottom right. So if I click that button, oh, here we go. That'll let me save the STL to my computer. And I could, if I wanted to, theoretically, I could then open up Octoprint and then upload it that way. Or I could click this G button here and I can send it directly from here to Octoprint and have it start printing with the click of that one button. So that's how I have this one set up, is to do that. It just saves a little bit of time. So here I have supports on the build plate only. And although it doesn't necessarily look like that, whoops, sorry if I'm making you guys dizzy, because of this piece right here. But if you really look at that piece, it's not, is it connected? Oh yeah, I guess it might be connected right there. Huh, that's funny. Prusa let me down. Nonetheless, though, you can kind of see down here. Watch, we'll look at this overhang. So this is an overhang. It wants to support this kind of overhang right there. But look at, they're not even coming anywhere close to touching that print. Same with like right here, for example. You guys saw me just take that off. If we zoom in, look, you can see that there's like 1, 2 layers where it's not even touching the print up there, or in there, I should say. So that's what like the XY separation will do. Where would be another good example? I don't think there's even a whole lot of support on this actual print anyways. Oh well. Well, nonetheless, what's also cool about slicers, so for newbies, this kind of tells you up here what like the time it's going to take for everything, and kind of what is happening with your print. So for example, I know if I wanted to see green, like what is this green stuff here material through this whole print. So if I looked at the slice here, I could be like, oh, well, what is this red stuff here? Oh, that's what I wanted to show you too. So I could see that, hey, that's internal infill. So what we were talking about, and I think Pat and Michelle, I think this is what you were trying to look for, was aligned rectilinear and the offset angle for it. So what that does, yeah, the hardest thing is waiting for the print too. So aligned rectilinear is, sorry if I'm diving a little deep here, guys, but we're almost done. Aligned rectilinear is simply this red material in here is, so it's essentially a straight line, like a rectangle. So it's a straight line, and then the angle offset that I use, which, so we're going to find that inside infill, at least in Prusa. And so like the fill pattern on the inside is aligned rectilinear. So you could choose a lot of different things. Rectilinear, standard, I think it'll want to put you on gyroid, but that's not strong at all. So you want to try to stay with like rectilinear. I don't know. I think maybe honeycomb or triangles or grid might be okay, but at 100% Prusa makes you print rectilinear. And so I just move it over to aligned rectilinear. So that, what that'll do is that makes it to where, if we're looking here, watch, as this thing slices, notice how those don't change. Like they don't crisscross on each other. So they all lay flat like this. Oops, like this. So essentially you have one layer, and then it prints a second layer, and then a third layer. And so that is, that's aligned rectilinear. If it were just rectilinear, what it would do is you'd have one print here, and then you'd have also one print, then the angle would go like this, and then it would go like this, and then the infill would flip-flop and crisscross like that. So not the whole piece, I'm just saying like the infill inside here. So essentially, sorry if that's confusing, but instead of the lines going from left to right, left to right, left to right, it would go left to right, up and down, left to right, up and down, left to right, and up and down. So nonetheless, that's aligned rectilinear. And I believe I got that from Hoffman. So I figured if it's good enough for an AR lower, it should be good enough for the mac and cheese. And then the offset angle, which is also I believe it's in here. Oh, the fill angle. So yeah, it's called cross hatching. Is the term that I was just trying to explain. Cross hatching. So by setting it to 0, what that does is that now aligns it to go left to right. It goes the width of the receiver. So awesome, Brian. Good. Glad I can help, man. You know, it is a little bit of a deep dive, but hey, you know what? That's you know, it's 3D printing. So yeah, so it is cross hatching, and that's the setting that you'd have to find in. Oh shit. So look, it was set at 45. If I were to reslice it now, you'd see that instead of going the length of the lower, so this way, it would now be going like sideways, or not sideways, but at a diagonal angle. But I'm not going to do that because, man, did I just mess up the whole thing? I think I might have. Putting it at 0. We'll get it back there. Anyway, so putting it at 0 makes it go left to right. So you can adjust that angle. If you don't want yours to go left to right, I just figured that, and how Hoffman also, I think, explains it, is that when it is less likely to break along. So it won't break. It gives it more strength this way than it would if it were at any angle. Because if it were at an angle, it could actually break on the layer line. But with it being going to the length of the gun or of the receiver, as you fire it, this line is all one solid line, and so that's actually going to create a lot stronger of a lower. I did a terrible job explaining that. Man, look it up. Other people explain it a lot better. But that's the line rectilinear. And then you could also see in here, you can again kind of see the supports in there. Like, look, it's not even kind of touching. So that's why it was so easy to come off. Oh, and look, you can kind of look on the inside as well. You can see it's not touching any, barely any of the walls. So where you see these like dots kind of coming off, that's where it would kind of branch out to support the pinholes here. And that was another question that someone also had talked about, was the pinholes, like what do the pinholes kind of look like? And so for example, on this one that layer shifted a couple times, pinholes came out freaking beautiful. Here, let's see if you can kind of see that. So like that, the big safety hole is pretty good right here. I mean, you might need to kind of shave it down just a smidge or kind of clean it up just a little bit, but like look at that other hole. That one came out beautiful. And then same with that one. So pinholes are great. All right, so do you guys have any questions that you kind of want me to kind of go over while I have Prusa open and sliced? This one I used 4 walls. Mac and Cheese says he recommends using 6 to 10, but based off of like Hoffman stuff, and this is where you kind of you got to get a feel for it because everyone recommends something different. On Hoffman's AR lowers, which are thoroughly tested, he only uses about 4 walls. I think he said 3 to 4 walls. And that's just to make the outside of the shell look good. So I'm at 4 walls with this. I think that's fine, especially with aligned rectilinear. Let's see. So Spring, are you interested in getting into 3D printing? Because you should. Trust me, and you'll print other things too. Like I printed a tiara for my daughter, so she loves it. Like that, like she really loves that. So she wears that with her princess outfits. She's 5. And she tells everybody that Daddy printed this, so that makes me feel cool. Also, I print like chip clips or cereal bag clips to help keep food fresh longer. So a paper towel roll holder. I printed a couple things for my enclosure over there. So you'll 3D printing will open up a avenue for a lot of things And then between Michelle and myself, I think we could probably list out some good resources to find some things, like places to find files and things like that. Um, it is kind of expensive. I mean, it doesn't have to be. You know, it doesn't have to be. It just depends on kind of what you want. You know, what you want, how much time you want to throw at it, type of thing. Um, yeah. So Spring, that's what I'm doing. So what's cool is, oh, you know what? I already closed Octoprint, but what is cool about Octoprint is it. I have Octalapse, which is a plugin, and it does its own time lapses. I'm trying to switch the screen over to it now, so that way I can show you. So it does have a thing up here called Octalapse, and it actually will do a time lapse. So it's kind of working on one right now, but I could open this up and you can kind of see. Look at that's how many times the mac and cheese failed on me, by the way, where it was recording. So like for example, if we wanted to see like this one here, or no, that one might take a minute to download, but essentially you could download it. It'll download again. If I crash, it's because I'm using too much stuff right now. And here, watch. We'll continue downloading. Can I just watch it here? No, maybe not. Anyways, that is here. I'm trying to show you what it kind of essentially looks like. Really quick. I'm getting pretty good at this. That name is already in use, really? How about that? So if I just go to my downloads, boom, open, copy, transform, fit to screen. Boom, there we go. So this is kind of what the time lapse looks like that it makes. That was just one of the ones that was failed. Yeah, that's what I'm essentially doing is I'm putting those time lapses together, and I also now have started to screen record all of the settings that you'll see over in from my slicer. So why is this now not working? Yeah, so I'm starting to screen record all the settings for that print. So then that way I'll put that with the time lapse, and then anybody who wants to see how it came out and then the settings that were used to print that will be it'll be available. So I am doing that. Yeah, there are so many things to print. Yeah, true. It does take a lot of time. You learn as you go, though. I mean, you learn as you go. Trial and error, you learn as you go. Yeah, feel free to post it over there. Feel free to chop it down, too. I know I did quite a bit of talking. But yeah, feel free to chop it down. Yes, came back. Look at that. Just took a minute. Oh, no, where'd it go? There we go. All right, guys. Well, I think that is, man, that is, I think, gonna wrap it up for this one. Yeah, and so what's cool also, I guess, what I also went back and did when I had all those failures was I went back in here and I actually looked how this sliced, because this technically should represent, like you can zoom in and this shows you every single layer of what your printer is going to do. And then furthermore, what's cool about these slicers is you could actually, I haven't done it, but you could, oh yeah, see, so it shows you the tool head and it shows you where it's, like how it's going to move. Let's do this so you can see a little bit better. It shows you how it's going to print, where it's going to move next, and so you can actually watch it print itself before it prints itself. So I tried to go back here and I tried to find like what was causing it to fail all those times, and I couldn't find anything. And so then that's when I was like, hey, you know what? It's my nozzle. It 100% has to be my nozzle. Once I replace the nozzle, it printed beautifully, and it is printing beautifully right now. So should have done it a long time ago. Anyways, so that is the Revo's awesome. Get the Revo. I haven't had to change anything out yet. Recommend the Revo. I also, what time are we at? 7:58. Man, time flies. I told you guys I was going to give you a review of the filament dryer that I'm using too, the Sunlu S2. Maybe I'll do that next week, but I think it's good to go. Definitely better than the S1. I have both, and like I said, I will probably raffle off the S1 that I modified probably in the next couple weeks. I just got to kind of lay it out and see how that's going to look and all that type of stuff. So anyways, yeah, if you guys got any questions, let me know now. You can always leave a comment later or hit me up on either PGB or 2A, and I will get back to you. And let's see, we only got a couple of people in here. So next week we'll give away the Rook rails for VIP. So if you are VIP and you want to get in on that, feel free to hop over to 2aallday.com in the VIP section and just type in for one for the Rook set, for the set of Rook rear rails for the compact, the 19. I think they work with the 17, the 19, and all that type of stuff too. But yeah, it's the rear rails for that. So that'll be given away to VIPs next week. So we will have a wheel spin, and then also, I guess kind of some things that are kind of in the works. I'm going to be making one of these guys here too, hopefully. So this is the FGC 9, the Mark II. And what I did is I kind of went through. This helps a lot. So when you're 3D printing, a lot of files have a README, and they're in a PDF format. This one was huge. This one was, I mean, like 200 pages. They're normally not like that. But this is essentially something where I could go to Home Depot and buy everything that I need. But I will be, and see, so some of the READMEs are like this, where they actually have like pictures of like, hey, use your JB Weld and weld these two things together, or things like that. And they show really in detail, like this is a 3D printed trigger or fire control group in here. I'm not using 3D printed fire control group. I'm using a standard AR, but I do have this kind of printed out, and I am going to kind of go through that, and I'm going to build this. And there is an adapter for this that uses the Glock 19 barrels, or the Glock barrels now. So instead of like making my own barrel and bolt and all that type of stuff, I'm just going to use the adapter because I have a bunch of extra Glock barrels. So that will probably be done hopefully in a week or two. We'll see. Yeah, other than that, guys, hop on over to the forum. The raffles still need to kind of get filled up. I think, again, we still only have 1 or 2 people in them. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry to keep you so long. I know it was a long show. I didn't realize we were going to take that deep of a dive. But if there's anything else 3D printed you guys want to know about, slicers, programs, settings, anything like that, let me know. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.